Well, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call our meeting to order of the Edinburgh EDC. Today, March 6th, 5:30 p.m. And can we get a roll call? Here?
Here. Here.
We have quorum, all right. Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Garza, will you certify that the notice has been on file the required period of time?
Notice was posted at 5 o'clock on Friday, March 3rd.
All right, and then conflict of interest, I know we all know this, but Omar, remind us once again.
Yes, Ms. Chair, under state law, a conflict of interest exists if a board member or certain members of that person's family has a qualifying financial interest in an agenda item. If there is a conflict, the member can't participate or vote on the item. Are there any conflicts to disclose?
No.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public comments, do we have anyone?
No, sir.
No? All right, great. Okay, regular agenda items, number 5A, consider approval of sponsorship for the Texas Lyceum State of the Women Conference. It's going to take place here in Edinburgh, April 27th through 29th, in the amount of $5,000.
The Texas Lyceum has contacted us and said that they're going to be coming in for a couple of days. They're actually spreading it out a little bit, having events in Edinburgh, events in McAllen and throughout the valley. But their Thursday event is actually here in Edinburgh, and they'd like to have us be a sponsor. There's different levels. The $5,000 level is a silver sponsor, and that gets us access to 2 seats at the different conference events. And so my recommendation was that we do sponsor this one at $5,000. Now, the Texas Lyceum, if people didn't know, is a very old organization that has been very active, has some very prominent people on the Lyceum over the past few years. There's people from all over the state that are coming down into the valley. So this is a great way for us to showcase Edinburgh.
Yeah, I agree. And I was fortunate enough to have been served in Texas Lyceum. I'm now an alum, but I was always very impressed with the caliber of industries and individuals from various types of industries. I mean, it ranges from everything from healthcare to education to people that have owned businesses or have been CEOs. Many prior elected officials like Kay Bailey Hutchison, Ted Cruz. I know many state reps over the years have served in Texas Lyceum. Omar, I don't know if did you serve in Lyceum? I was trying to remember.
No, I have not had the pleasure, but I know the mayor.
Mayor Garza served in Lyceum as well, yes. So it is a great organization. Usually what they do is they bring both alums and then their current members down. They visit all over the state for different types of conferences. I'm really glad that this one in particular, that they decided to do it down the Rio Grande Valley. Christian Corrales, who's with the university, he works in my Office of Community Engagement, and he is one of the Lyceum members, and he and Joanne Garcia, Judge Joanne Garcia, were very instrumental in getting Lyceum to come down here to do a conference. So
Right.
It's a great organization. I'll just say that about it.
So I see there's a sponsorship opportunity, but the use of the food truck park as well?
That would be in addition to the sponsorship, and that's the next item on the agenda, correct?
Oh, okay.
So any thoughts on the sponsorship level? It's the second to, let's see, 2,500 is the lowest, and then 5,000 is the second, silver. And that would get us 2 representatives to attend the events. They'll have they usually do like a fireside chat and a dinner. Is that what they're going to be wanting
They
to
are
use
doing
the food
that,
pack?
and they will be honoring Julieta Garcia, who was also just recently given the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And then after that, there's also going to be, 2 guests can join in the welcome event on Thursday night for the actual conference itself.
Do we know who the speaker is, Rondo?
I do not at this time.
For which one? For the,
There's a speaker
For
for
the,
that event.
for the opening conference event. So there's a pachanga, and then there's the pachanga they want to have here at the food truck park. And then there's an opening reception, I guess, after that, or maybe before. And then on Friday, they actually have the conference itself. And they're highlighting women in Texas history. So it's kind of highlighting the role of women in Texas.
I know they're having a panel discussion one day, but I'm not sure what day that is.
Yeah, they haven't provided us with the actual agenda itinerary yet,
Okay.
other than those highlights.
Right, and for the budget, Rondo, what would this come out of?
This would come out of the sponsorship budget that we had set aside, I believe, $100,000 total. We've expended about 40% of that at this point. So we do have room for that in our budget.
I'll make a motion for staff's recommendation, sponsorship level.
I'll second that.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye or raise your right hand. Aye. All right, motion passes. And then you said there's a request, that's the next item on here for the food park, right? To use that to host the event?
Yes, ma'am. Judge Garcia did contact me and asked if they could use the food truck park area for an event that they'd like to cater. And being as new as I am, I haven't experienced that yet, but I did check with some of the city staff, and they have followed kind of their protocol for leasing out or renting out city facilities. So the food truck park would be something that would fall in line with about a $600 rental fee for that one-time event. So Judge Garcia was asking if we would waive that. Aside from that, they're bringing in the music, they're bringing in the catered food. They would be responsible for meeting all of the city requirements in terms of the use of the space. And obviously, we have plenty of parking in and near the food truck park area for them to hold that. There's going to be about 120 guests is what they project.
So is this a private event?
It would be a private event, yes.
Okay, so this was probably our first request for a private event, is that correct?
It's a private event by a nonprofit, correct.
Yeah. So I guess, what have we said in the past regarding, this sets protocol, right?
Well, the city facilities are available to people for lease. This isn't the city facility, it's an EDC
Right.
facility.
So it sets, we've never leased it out like this.
Not that I know of.
Not the EDC has, but the city has.
Yeah, this is the first time that the EDC is separate, and that is our property, so.
Correct. And that's why just some guidance around, people are gonna see an event, which is great, and then folks are gonna start making requests. Obviously, we have to hold some consistency
Right.
regarding in the future requests.
So what I would recommend is that we follow the city protocol in terms of insurances and requirements necessary to be able to use the facility. If we do that, I think we'll be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, but Raul brings up a good point. So before rental or waiver of fees in lieu of, that was all city, so security, trash. all
Security
that
would be
was
part of that
included.
as well.
So now that it belongs to the EDC, are we gonna have to pay the city for those services?
Correct. Yeah.
But they would pay for
Also,
those?
Well, them, the user of the facility.
Yeah.
So this would be to waive the $600 fee, but not to waive the requirements of having security and all those things.
Right.
cost.
There would be a requirement for security, and there's a price set that the city charges for city facilities, and I believe it's $50 per hour per officer. And so there would be a recommendation for at least 2 officers at this event with the number of people that are out there. Aside from that, they have to pay for electricity and provide lighting. If they're going to have music, then they would have to be within the requirements that are set out in the city's protocol. So Omar and I can handle those details, but really what we're asking is do we want to use this facility or allow people to use this facility? And if it's so, then we can adopt that type of protocol that the city already has in place, and we're just going to be putting our name on it instead of the city's name on it.
So let me ask you this, if we were to not waive the fee, is there a chance that they're not going to use the food park for this event?
Probably not. They do have a budget for this event, and so, you know, $600 is not going to, I don't think is going to sway their budget one way or another, to be honest. It's a nominal fee on our end, but it's nominal on their end as well.
So,
But we want them to be here.
no, we do want them to be
Because
here.
they're going to be showcasing the promenade, they want to be talking about the downtown revitalization efforts, and so we really do want them to be here. They'll give us mic time too.
Yeah,
So-
it's, well, and it's not like we're having somebody's planning a private party there, and they're not gonna showcase anything else about the city, it's just for them to use it for a private party. This is to actually showcase the downtown area. I just checked with Tristan to see if he knew who was the speaker for that Thursday night. He said that he thinks it may be the mayor.
So
So-
the other option would be to have it at the amphitheater instead of here, because there's room at the amphitheater as well. They have that stage, and that was something that we
I
talked
think it's a
about.
great place for an event. I'm more, this event I think is gonna be great. I'm more looking ahead, because the minute we see, or the public sees people using it, then the requests will come in, and we gotta be ready for that.
Correct.
Yeah, and I guess my concern too is that in the future, somebody's gonna say, well, we know you waived the fee
Yeah,
for that.
we waive the fee here, and then we get into that conversation we
Sure.
had about 2 years ago. Who do we waive it to, and for us to be very direct and clear.
Yeah, well, I just think it's hard to have a straight protocol for that, because each event has its own merit, and we want certain events in the city. I think this is one of those events we want to showcase the city, we want to showcase what we're doing. And I guarantee you that, the question I was going to have is, so this is separate from the sponsorship. Will we have a table, EDC have a table at this event? It's one of my questions, but also, I'm pretty sure as this event grows, it'll probably just go to the amphitheater. But I'd like for us to show and offer our food truck park for them.
Well,
Yeah.
and I'm going to kind of relate to something that we do. So the university gets requests all the times for us to waive the fee to use facilities at the university. And so we require that if you're going to have it, it's got to have a connection to what we do, right? And here it would showcasing the downtown area. And then we also require that we be involved in some way. So it can't just be that we're saying we join sponsor, but we usually have to have somebody that's there that welcomes, or that, you know, does something that's connected to the event. And so I think here, there, and then the same thing, that we have to be able to say that while we'll waive the fee, we won't waive the cost. So if there's security, if there's setup, there's tear down, all that stuff, that has to be paid for by the entity. I mean, I think that having that ROI works when you're waiving it. If there's really no ROI, then we just lease the facility, right? But
Right.
if there is an ROI to us, then I think we're willing to waive it. That's what the university does. And I see something like this, very similar to that, where we're gonna get an ROI out of it, because we're gonna have people from all across the state coming to see what's happening in the downtown area. And if we can get, you know, somebody that can welcome and be part of, from the EDC, to welcome them, and to also maybe even make a statement about what we're doing in the downtown area, I think that would be beneficial to us.
Sounds great.
Yeah, and you know, Adele, on that note, so last year, we used the food truck parks for Food Truck Fridays. I'm looking at the cultural arts calendar, and there is no longer any Food Truck Fridays, because that now belongs to the EDC. So we have to make a decision. Are we gonna continue that? Are we gonna plan for that? Who's gonna help us organize it? That's what that was purchased for. And eventually, we knew that as the amphitheater became a realization, then it would probably move that way, but just something we might have to talk about.
This would be on a Thursday, right? This wouldn't
It
interfere
would be
with?
Thursday,
Okay.
correct, on the 27th of April.
Do you know if we'll have a table at that event as well, separate from the sponsorship?
I think we can negotiate that.
Table, not 2 tickets.
We need a little more than
I
10
heard you.
seconds.
So anybody want to make a motion that's subject to us getting a table at the events that we would be agreeable to
And
waiving
following
the
all the
fee?
other
And having, of
protocols as
course,
discussed.
them, and all the other items as
As
discussed.
I make a motion to allow the Texas Lyceum to have event at our food trucks, waive the fees, with the terms as discussed.
I'll second. All in favor, say aye. Raise your right hand. Okay, motion passes. Let us know if they agree to that, Rondell. Okay, next item on the agenda is the ICSC Convention in Las Vegas in April 21st through the 23rd of this year. I know several went last year, or was it last year or 2 years ago? I can't remember.
Last year.
anymore. Last year, yeah.
Yes. I wasn't here last year, but I heard it was a very successful trip, and we're still realizing and sowing some of the fruits of that labor. So this year, May 21st through the 23rd, that would be from a Sunday through Tuesday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's really more half-day on Sunday and full-day Monday and half-day Tuesday. The ICSC, International Council of Shopping Centers event, brings together all kinds of developers, realtors, brokers, and retailers who are looking to grow. Obviously, it's a way for us to showcase Edinburgh, to let people know what's going on here, why they should be locating here, and also for us to identify franchise opportunities for our investors, our local investment community as well. And last year, I know that the city and EDC both went and had a strong presence with a booth there. So what I'm recommending and what we are doing, we've already started the process of renting a booth, 10 by 20 booth space, and then starting the process of setting up appointments with companies that are interested in us and us interested in them. But I just want to throw it out there in case you all were excited and ready to go and help us, then we'll be ready to make those preparations for everybody. Oh, by the way, I want to welcome Jackie Guerra.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, I should have done that. Jackie, and I had it on there. We want to welcome Jackie Guerra, who is now the administrative specialist under Mr. Garza in the
Yes.
EDC office.
So
Welcome.
Jackie will be handling a lot of those details for us, but yeah, she's going to be working on making sure that those who do want to attend go to the right place.
So for the record, please note that Mr. Roland Gomez has joined us. Jackie, you want to tell us a little bit about where you were at before?
Come
Come on
on up to the mic, ma'am.
Well, you should always be ready, because you'll be on the
On the spot.
all the
spotlight.
time.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline Guerra. I've been with the city for 8 years. I was 4 years in municipal court, then 4 years with the police department, and now I'm here at the Edinburgh Economic Development Corporation. So I'm very excited about the change. I've been wanting something different for a while now, so I'm super excited.
Wonderful.
Oh,
When
you're
did you
gonna
start?
love it.
I started 2 weeks ago. Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
Well, welcome. Well, you're gonna love it. We got a lot of things going on, a lot of movement, a lot of possibilities. So,
Thank
welcome to
you.
the team.
Thank you. I'm excited to work with all of you guys.
Thank
And
you
I'm
so
excited
much.
to have somebody keep me in line and make sure I'm at the right place at the right
Things are-
time.
Things are already better. We have dinner today, so you have an A+ already.
You're off to a great start, Jackie.
You're off to a great start.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Rondell, I mentioned a while ago, April 21st, but it's actually May 21st through 23rd, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, May.
Do we still have a relationship with Daniel from Coldwell Banker?
We don't have a contract with them, but we have relationships with a lot of different brokers.
He did a great job setting up visits with folks from around the country, and we actually went to because they had more room, they had meeting space. something you might want to reach out to him and see if he's, obviously if he's successful here in Edinburgh, it's for his company as well, so he does a lot here. That may be something that we can
Yeah.
reach out to him.
What I'd like to say is we had a great response last year. We had several teams.
Yes.
It was teams of 3 or 4, I think, and we all had assignments. Just get with Carlos and them so we can try and have the same. I mean, it was really, really well put together. The only thing I'd like to see a little different is the advances we've made from last year to this year. Like, I would love to have UTRGV help be there. I don't know if they have a booth, but talk about Division I football, kind of bring people towards Edinburgh. If there's a representative, talk about all the different things that have changed. Because we actually would meet people there. Everyone talked about our booth. We had pins with a USB drive that had all our stats and our demographics, the changes to that, an update like that. It was just a hit all around. It's very, very large, so there's a lot of area to cover. But Rodell, I think you're perfect being at the head now. That think of who else. Like right away, I thought about having UTRGV presence there to kind of pump the Division I and let them know, hey, this is a big deal in the city of Edinburgh now, and whatever other partners you think we could bring to Vegas with us to help get the word out on the city.
I'm
But,
happy to reach out to our athletic director, Chase, and see if he could attend, or possibly Coach Bush, who's our new football coach.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And they, they're going to have contacts, right, and tell people, hey, meet us in Vegas so we could, talk about Edinburgh. A lot of the council went along with the EDC, and we were very strong out there, and I think we're going to have the same presence out there this year. Everyone's talking about it. At first, I'll tell you, when we talked about Las Vegas, they said if 2 members could go, and we're like, 2 members? No, we all want to go, and it just worked out really fine. So I think just be open to the entire board, and just know, yeah, we're gonna do some work out there, but it's really, really great.
Yeah, both wonderful ideas. I appreciate them. And we've got about 60 days or so to get everything
Yeah.
organized and ready. So those of you who are interested, please notify Jackie as soon as possible so that we can make arrangements and save some money on those flights.
Correct. So we will have a booth though, right?
We've already started that process. We've already reserved the booth, yes.
Great.
Okay. You need any action from us on this item?
No, I just wanted to put it there in case somebody else had something else that we needed to do, but that's a budgeted item within our conference's budget. Last year, I think there was an expenditure, total expenses were about $25,000. I expect that to be about the same, maybe a little bit more because of inflation, but if that's who ends up going, we had, I think, 5 people on the board plus staff. So yeah, I expect it to be about the same expense. Booth costs have remained relatively flat. There is a charge for everything there, from carpets to waste paper baskets to audiovisual and everything, but everything within our budget. So
Yeah, our
it's a
booth
good
was good. We had-
promotional piece.
Yeah, we had TVs, we had a good-sized booth.
Yeah.
The
We
maps.
rotated time there. Maps, yeah, those maps were awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll get it done.
And rather, is the idea to arrive that Sunday morning or Saturday or what?
It would be at least that Sunday morning, and then not depart until Tuesday afternoon. But yeah, it would be at least a 2-night stay. For staff, it's a little bit longer because setup times are actually on Saturdays and sometimes on Fridays. So arriving late Friday would probably work for staff. But for those who are actually walking and working the booth, which is city council and board members, Sunday would be sufficient. But I mean, that makes it work. And believe me, I've been at ICSC events since 1996. And after a while, even Vegas gets old.
It does. It's a lot of days.
There's only so much you can take of the ding-dings.
Well, the place is huge. I mean, I know that. It was a lot of walking. It's a lot of good booths that you get to see. I mean, I remember everything from food establishments to the golf to the, we looked at, remember the, what do you call it, the fish.
Yeah, the zoo, the exotic zoo.
Zoo, and then also, I was gonna say, my gosh,
That virtual
Not
sports bar,
amphitheater,
and there was bowling, there was a lot of things.
yeah, the
Yeah.
golf, but there was
There's-
also the one we were looking at, out-
Sequest, I think
the
was the one.
Sequest,
Yes,
yeah,
yeah.
Sequest.
There's a lot of different entertainment venues that are represented there as well. A lot of the people who show up at the events are not necessarily exhibitors, but that's where our connections and people like Daniel can help us connect with some of those folks who are attendees, but not necessarily exhibitors.
Oh, Rod, you know what, I just thought of something. The other people I think we should reach out to is anyone who has land or properties to offer, because a lot of these businesses that show up, they want to talk to landowners. And there's a few that go on their own, yeah, but I think if we just get the word out and say, hey, we're gonna be in town, and, you know, a lot of them will go because it's their property, though, it behooves them to be there with us. We can reach out
Yeah,
to
so part
them.
of our process is to make sure we identify the properties that we're going to showcase at our booth. And that is not only the existing commercial developments, but even land that has that potential or proposed developments also.
Right.
Yeah, we want to make sure that we present as many of those options as we can to make sure that people are aware of what's going on.
Right, and then I'll ask the board to brainstorm if there's anything else or anyone else you think should be out there with us. Just let Rodell know so we can have a strong team out there.
Sounds good. Okay. Let's see, our next item is, the incentive guidelines, so we've been talking about for a few meetings now.
Yeah,
These are the ones for, this is, the first one is the incentive guidelines, and then the second one is the commercial recruitment, right?
Yeah, I put them back on the agenda because in our last meeting, well, actually 2 meetings ago, we had these presented, but we didn't really have a chance to really talk about them in detail. I'm not really looking for that today because we've got a pretty extensive executive session agenda right now. But I did want to just make sure that you all are aware that we haven't finalized these, but I think that we need to try to finalize them by our March 28th meeting. I'm expecting us to have a March 28th regular meeting. So please, as a reminder, give me your comments as soon as you can so that we can incorporate them into these drafts that are in your packet. These are drafts, but if there are some things that you'd like to see us change or incorporate into them, I'd be glad to do it. That way we can try to finalize this, the guidelines. And again, they're just guidelines. They're not necessarily written in stone. Yes, they're on paper, but the guidelines are flexible enough to where they're helping us guide our decision-making, but not necessarily dictating our decision-making. The same thing goes with the next item, which is the commercial recruitment program. There were some comments made, but I had just barely presented that to y'all, so y'all hadn't taken time to review it. I think that commercial recruitment program could be massaged a little bit, and so I'm looking forward to hearing some of the comments from y'all over the next couple of weeks, and so that on the 28th I can put that in front of y'all for final adoption.
Rodell, since we've got everybody here, the only question I had, I saw on the guidelines, since the idea is that this is for businesses that aren't already planning to be in Edinburgh, but that we're trying to draw them to Edinburgh, right? But yet, on there it said that incentives are, can include but are not limited to reimbursement of infrastructure improvements. So would that be, explain that, because that to me seems like that would be something that they've already decided to be in Edinburgh, they've done the improvements, and now they're seeking some kind of reimbursement. And since we're not going to be providing incentives to somebody if they're already here or already plan to be here, how would that work?
Well, if they're expanding and they're already an existing business, then they would qualify or could qualify for a reimbursement. But a reimbursement is more because of it's a post-performance. So if they say they're going to build something, it's just guiding us in how we're going to do the development or performance agreement, which means that they have to make sure that they build something and they open that store, for example, before we pay for those reimbursements. A good example of that was the one that we just recently did for Real LLC which was a reimbursement of $40,000 for infrastructure improvements that will not get paid out until after they complete the building
Okay.
and after they've leased out at least 50% of the building to retail tenants. So once they've done that, then they've performed, and then that we're reimbursing them. So
Okay.
whether it's an existing business that is expanding or a relocated or new facility, either way, it's a post-performance type of contract.
Okay, great, thank you.
And again, this is just something that helps us guide the process. So it can be flexible. And there may be a case where that doesn't fit in and we have to do something a little bit different. And that's really at your discretion and city council final approval.
Okay, so you're not asking us to approve today, you're asking for comments. Are you providing a deadline for those comments to be turned in since you wanted to bring it back up on the 28th?
I can.
Well, I think it's helpful, if we know well, we got a certain deadline, we'll move on it by, everybody's busy and
I don't think you want to see them on the 27th.
we don't want to, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, I will give you a deadline of the 21st, which would give me a week to prepare everything prior to the meeting.
Okay,
So that's 2 Tuesdays from now.
and that would be for both the incentive guidelines and also for the commercial recruitment program, right?
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Hey, can you go back and look? We had given some money during the COVID monies to some folks as high as 150,000 and some I know have not acted upon. I know there's a timeline, you already 2 or 3 years. I think we're nearing that minimum 2 years already. And, you know, it's budgeted money, so there's gonna be possible funds if they're not utilized for us to come back and I guess determine what to do with those funds.
Yeah, I had asked our city manager about that, because the ARPA funds, and because remember, we had talked about a second, like Spark-type program that was for something other than the facade, that would be like, might include lighting or parking lots. And so she had mentioned that she would be following up with our city attorney about it, but about whether or not, if the monies were going to be managed by the EDC or managed by the city on such a type program. But I don't know how much remains. I guess we'd have to look and see how much actually remained from that first program also.
Myra and I have had that discussion, and there's about $300,000 that remains at this point, and that's not finalized, but about $300,000 of ARPA funds. And the EDC would have to adopt a program. So I'm in the process of drafting a program guidelines for that particular use.
Can you clarify if those 300,000 are unused funds?
Yes.
And so there's 2 buckets here. There's an unused funds, and there's funds that we gave to folks. Okay? They submitted their plan, they came up and spoke, and
They lost the opportunity. Yeah.
you know, and so that was given, debited out of the account, but may not have been used.
Yeah.
And so I assure you it's gonna be more than that, 300,000.
I'll look into it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be really helpful if we could do it, or if the city plans on doing it, then, but somebody doing it, because you see so many businesses that could really use these services. And I think we get a wide response if we put it out there for the public to apply for these.
There's some, what Raul's referring to, there was some people that applied for facade that didn't whatever meet the requirements, so there's money available there. But there's also businesses we gave incentives to that also fell out. And there's one business alone that was $150,000. So there's monies there that we need to hopefully put on our next agenda and continue with this parking lot program, and hopefully we can start working on it by next meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. We do realize there's only one of you, and now that you've got Jacqueline, poor Jacqueline, you're going to be busy. But hopefully you'll be able to hire some more staff soon, and then, because I know on a program like that, it takes quite a bit of effort to really organize it and manage it.
We have interlocal agreements that are at our disposal that can help us identify some of those helpers.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so then I think the remaining items we have are part of executive session, so can I get a motion to enter into executive session?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, all in favor say aye, raise your right hand. Okay, we are now entering into executive session.